Hello, hi, I'm Coach Maratib, and we are discussing about some of the few selective chapters and the topic from the famous book, The Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, written by Dr. Stephen R. Covey. Last time we discussed about the importance of the power of the paradigm, and today we will discuss about the power of paradigm shift. So, power of paradigm shift is a result of some sudden, instantaneous change uh, within the mental map, and and after that, the person transform his thinking into a very positive direction. So, but how does this positive direction uh, is achieved? That we are going to discuss in the book. We are on page number 29, and let's start it. Uh, Perhaps the most important insight to be gained from the perception demonstration is in the area of paradigm shifting, what we might call it aha experience, when someone finally sees the composite picture in another way. So, for example, referring to the last our conversation when Dr. Stephen show a picture of beautiful girl to those people who have already seen the picture of old woman, and they were not agree that the composite picture which was shown later was the actually picture of a old lady, because uh, because of their old perception that was. But when after discussing and when they went into the deep of this conversation, and when they saw the both side of the story, then they changed their paradigm, they changed their actually mental map, and the both sides of the people were agree that yes, that composite picture is also a picture of a beautiful girl and also the picture of old lady. So that is, you can say, the paradigm shift instantaneously, suddenly it happens. But uh, the similar in our life when we are going into a different domain of the life every day. For example, if we are uh, considering as ourselves as a husband or wife, or in office as a businessman or manager or uh, uh, officer, and or a community leader, or anything. So these paradigms shifts can be happen, and uh, sometime what happened, the people, they wait to have a suddenly learn a lesson, a very key lesson, which they change the mind totally. So that's I'm going to discuss with you. Okay, the term paradigm shift was introduced by Thomas Cohen in his highly influential book, The Structure of Scientific Revolution. Cohen shows how almost every significant breakthrough in the field of scientific endeavor is the first a break in the tradition, with old ways of thinking, with the old paradigm. For Ptolemy, the great Egyptian astronomer, the earth was a center of universe. But Copernicus created a paradigm shift and a great deal of resistance and persecution as well by place the sun is actually the center of the universe. Suddenly everything took on a very different interpretation. So it's very obviously that type of thinking uh, in our history as well. So, okay, 1 second, somebody's messaging probably. No, that's fine. Okay. If somebody is not able to listen me, they can write here so I can louder or slow down my volume, my voice accordingly. Otherwise, we can carry on. Let's go ahead. The Newtonian model of physics was a clockwork paradigm and is still the basis of modern engineering, but it was a partial incomplete. The scientific world was revolutionized by the Einsteinian paradigm, the relativity paradigm, which had much higher predictivity and explanatory value. So these are all basically the historical values changed with the historical scientific discovery, and every new era actually is the formation of new paradigms, and they take the place of old paradigm, not only in science but also social science, in history, in the significance of this life of individuals, people, cities, everything. And when any person start to believe to change the life, they will work on the paradigm deliberately or unconsciously in the both sides. Also, if any nation, for example, there are a lot of nations at this time, they are struggling. They want to change the fate of their countries or their city. So they have to work on their paradigms. They have to work on their social mirrors. They need to build a certain habits. They need to change their minds, and suddenly they will start to transform their life, not only on an individual level but also on a societal level. So this is the power of paradigm and the shifting as well. So let's go. Until the germ theory was developed, a high percentage of women and children died during childbirth, and no one could understand why. In military skirmishes, more men were dying from the small wounds and diseases than from the major traumas, the front lines. But as soon the germs theory was developed, a new whole paradigm, a better improved way of understanding what was happening, made dramatic, significant medical improvement possible. The United States today is a fruit of paradigm shift. The traditional concept of government for centuries had been a monarchy, the divine right of kings. Then a different paradigms were developed. Government of the people, by the people, and for the people, we call it democracy. And a constitutional democracy was born, unleashing the tremendous human energy and ingenuity and creating a standard of living, of freedom and liberty, of influence and hope unequaled in the history of the world. Not all paradigm shifts are in positive direction, as we have observed the shift from the character ethics to the personality ethics has drawn us away from the very root that nourish true success and happiness. Yeah, it is very true. The difference between character ethics and the mental and the personality ethics is also is a beautiful paradigm. Many people change the way how they look, and they have a judgment about other people and events based on personality ethics. And obviously that's a temporary and also important, but long lasting is not long lasting. The long lasting change and deep rooted and correct understanding is from the character ethics. So people do change from character ethics to personality ethics. That is also because of the paradigm shift. Okay, let's go ahead. But whether they shift us in positive or negative direction, whether they are instantaneous or developmental, paradigm shifts moves us from one way of seeing the world to another, and those shifts create powerful change. Our paradigms, correct or incorrect, are the source of our attitude and behavior and ultimately our relationship with others. It's superb and very deep rooted sentence. Let me read again. Our paradigms, correct or incorrect, are the source of our attitude and behaviors and ultimately our relationships with others. So if we want to improve the genuine relationship with other, whether it's our spouse or with children or with parents or with our relatives, with neighbors, with friends, family, colleagues, uh, anybody, so we have to make a correct paradigm. Incorrectness of paradigm build a very broken relationship, and correct paradigm about a certain role, a certain set of expectations, if we have in correct way with what we call principle based, then it will be a correct and true relationship we will getting. And after that, the miracle like synergy and beautiful relations and we can get the loved one and removing of the isolation, that all things start to happen. But that because of the correct paradigm. And now how we can build a correct paradigm, a principle or self-centered based paradigm, that is we will discuss in another episode. So Dr. Stephen said in the book further, he says, I remember a mini paradigm shift I experienced one Sunday morning on a subway in New York. People are sitting quietly, some reading newspapers, some lost in the thoughts, some resting with their eyes closed, and it was a calm, peaceful scene. Then suddenly a man and his children entered the subway car. The children were so loud, rambunctious, and instantly the whole climate changed. The man sat down next to me and closed his eyes, apparently oblivious to the situation. The children were yelling back and forth, throwing things, even grabbing people's paper. It was a very disturbing situation. And yet the man sitting next to me did nothing. So he was allowing children to do whatever doing. So, excuse me. So temporary paradigm which was building with the people who were in a car in subway is like little annoyed and angry on the children. Let's see. It was difficult not to feel irritated. I could not believe that he could be so insensitive as to let his children run wild like that and do nothing about it, taking no responsibility at all. It was easy to see that everyone else on a subway felt irritated too. So finally, with what I felt was unusual patience and restraint, I turned to him and said, Sir, your children are really disturbing a lot of people. I wonder if you could not control them a little more, please. Okay, let's see. That's one paradigm. Suddenly they have built everybody and was not. Let's see what happened. Did it change? The man lifted his gaze as if to come to a consciousness of the situation for the first time and said softly, Oh, you are right. I guess I should do something about it. We just came from the hospital where their mother died about an hour ago. I do not know what to think. I guess they don't know how to handle it either. Comma, full stop, comma, close. Can you imagine what I felt at the moment? My paradigm shifted. suddenly I saw things differently. And because I saw differently, I thought differently, I felt differently, I behaved differently, my irritation vanished. I did not have to worry about controlling my attitude or my behavior. My heart was filled with the man's pain. Feelings of sympathy and compassion flowed freely. Your wife just died? Oh, I'm very sorry about that. Can you tell me about it? Where, when can I do to help you? Everything changed in an instant. So this is the power of paradigm. Suddenly, people start to love with the kids, have a sympathy or might be empathy, and these are the things start to happen. The similarly, when we are in a different and in a difficult relationship, and if we came across a reality, that reality caused to change the relationship pattern and relationship uh, process entirely differently, and people start to love and respect with each other than before. And suddenly these things happen between husband wife, uh, boss and employee, and between any two people. So that's why the paradigm shifting is very important. But for these paradigm shifting, there are certain ingredients and set of beliefs which people have in their mind. Then they can change. Otherwise, if people are stubborn, if people have enough might be incorrect knowledge that they have learned everything about the certain relationship or certain aspect or event or about vegan, then they cannot change. It's very difficult. But still, there is a chance which God's world will provide them. Eventually, they have to change. But still, if they will not change themselves, suddenly they are on the path of failure. And the path of greatness will be only for people who has a capacity to change their paradigm. And for example, if you have a 100 kg weight and you are overweight by your height, it's 100 kg is too much, and you are not bothering that it can influence on your life, quality of your life, then suddenly your friends and family or any event happen in your life where a fat person or person with full of obesity died or or involved in a very big disease because of his fatness or overweight or obesity, then suddenly his paradigm will be start to change, and he will run, he will do diet, he will take the wise nutrition, and suddenly every activity, every moment he will be passing will be entirely different, and will be in positive, because that mental attitude has been changed. And why this mental attitude has been changed? Because of the structure of thought or pattern or mental map has been changed. That is how the paradigm shift is very important. So let's go ahead. We are just in the last stages of finishing this topic. Yeah. So many people experience a similar fundamental shift in thinking when they face a life-threatening crisis and suddenly see their priorities in a different light, or when they suddenly step into a new role, such so that of a husband or wife or parent or grandparent or manager or leader. Like I said earlier before, we could spend weeks, months, even years laboring with the personality ethics, trying to change our attitude or behavior, and not even being to approach to phenomenon of change that occurs spontaneously when we see things differently. That is very obvious phenomena when we start to see the things differently from a different perspective, from the different angle, then paradigm happens. That's why it's so so diverse that when the people of different backgrounds and culture, they start to living and working with each other, there lot of misconception and energies start to run in a positive direction, because they are ready to change and they are ready to adapt. So these are the things, and it becomes obvious that if we want to make a relative minor change in our life, we can perhaps appropriately focus on attitude and behavior. But if we want to make a significant and quantum change, we need to work on our basic paradigms. Very, very foundational, very, very influential. Uh, this quotation from Dr. Stephen Covey. Let me repeat again. It becomes obvious that if we want to make a relatively minor change in our lives, we can perhaps appropriately focus on our attitude and behaviors. But if we want to make a significant quantum change, we need to work on our very basic paradigms. Superb. In the world of Thorio, commas start, inverted commas start, for every 1,000 hacking at the leaves of the evil, there is one striking at the root, full stop, commas close. We can only achieve quantum improvement in our lives as we quit hacking at the leaves of attitude and behavior and get to work on the roots, the paradigms from which our attitude and behavior flows. So we ended the page 31 from the book The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, written by Dr. Stephen R. Covey. We recite some of the paragraphs from that topic related, and importance of paradigm and how the paradigm shift can transform your life. So if you want to change your life in any aspect, you need to ready to change your paradigm, whether instantaneous, like I said, it could be in a result of your conscious mind or unconscious mind, or suddenly possibly unforeseen event, any tragedy can make your paradigm shift and your life will change entirely 360 degree. And but main thing is you have to be ready for this if you want to experience a true success, lifelong learning, and very, very peaceful mind, if you want to. So we will continue to reading and understanding further the pearls which is hidden in this book. Next time we will be discussing about seeing and being, and then next the principal center paradigm, which is actually the ideal and desirable paradigm. Like we have discussed already, there are correct paradigm, incorrect paradigm. But if there is a incorrect paradigms and we are on a path of failure and we are have a victim, we are disempowered, we are feeling alone, or we have suicidal thoughts, we are not successful in our professional and personal life, then we have to do the principle centered paradigm, which we will study next time or tomorrow probably. So until I will give you one question, that in your last 1 year or 2 years, or in any part of your life, historical point of view, is any paradigm shift be occurred? If occurred, then you can write even below, and then that we can discuss as well, because that makes the self-awareness which is true for getting the success. Hopefully you have enjoyed this episode, and I will see you next time in a different time. Thank you very much, and all the best.